Can someone actually recap what we discussed last time? If anyone remembers the discussion points that we had last time, just highlights.
We discussed how to be a good leader and what to do when you are newly promoted to a leader.
Okay, so we discussed all last session was mostly about a new leader in the first 30 days, and he is a new leader with a new team. That was the discussion that we had. We discussed a lot of points regarding this, which is what are the most critical actions that you need to take in the first 30 days, and how can you leverage your team resources, whether based on the different personalities and different skill sets, whoever is knowledge graspers, whoever is a good coach, or whoever has good soft skills and things like that, and that you don't try to be dominant and don't try to be an SME in this period, and don't focus on grabbing knowledge, focus on building a team that works in a dynamic way together, and don't try to do everything by yourself, because you will already have new things that you need to do, and you will have very short capacity in terms of your time, so you need to be strategic about how to use your time and make sure that you use it for the most priority activities, in other words, and don't scatter yourself all over the place for the activities as a new leader. Okay? And we also spoke at the end of the session about the stages which is the teams or new teams go through, which is forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. And I asked you guys to start researching each stage last time, especially the storming stage, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Can someone tell me what was the result of the research about the stages of forming a team?
كنت قلت لي عليه وبتاع كنت قلت لنا عليه. كان في حاجتين كانوا هوم ورك المره اللي فاتت. كان اول حاجه conflict management.
Conflict management, yes. There is a course on the university for this. Did you take it?
Research. I didn't take the course yet, but I did some research. يعني.
Okay.
في الconflict. وتاني حاجه كانت research التيم stages يعني.
Okay. So did anyone take the course of the conflict management on LinkedIn Learning or the university? Who? You did take it? No? Nothing?
I read about it, but I didn't take it.
Okay, the course is there, guys, and we have a luxury from Concentrics that we have LinkedIn Learning, and we have the university and the Principio part of it. So nobody needs to pay anything. You just need to invest your time into it. So please, when we take any homework, I expect the people to do it, because that shows me that you are really invested into this, and you are really investing your time and effort to be better, and you're not just being reactive here, attending the session and then doing nothing. So please, I don't want to have this happening again, that you guys take homework and you don't do it, because that will actually give me an impression that you're not serious about the leadership training and leadership understanding. So I will start canceling these meetings, and I will have it only for the people who are investing time and effort for this. Okay? So please, let's not have this happening again. All right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's continue from the same point that we stopped last time, which is I will try to make it as 30, 60, 90. Okay, as a new leader. In the 30, 60, 90, what is the activities that you should be doing, and what should you be learning, and what should you take care of, and so on. So we can be organized, and the more we go into the sessions, the more we go deeper into stages that will happen later on. Okay? So you guys can understand, if you got promoted, what are you expected to do in your first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and so on. So that would make sense. So I don't give you something that's gonna like be irrelevant somehow, or maybe it happens after a very long time, so it's not gonna be very helpful for you at the beginning of your leadership. Okay? So as we spoke last time, in the first 30 days, you need to do what? Does someone just remember any points that we discussed in the first 30 days that you need to do?
We mainly spoke about like actually having the team to bond. You
Okay.
bonding with them.
Yes.
And we emphasize the fact that we don't want the team to bond on their own, because if they bonded on their own, sometimes that may like turn on us. Like
Okay.
it would flip the scenario to them actually like being a team on their own, but you were not. If you're not invested enough or in the right way, they wouldn't, like actually count you as like a part of the team, but just the leader, not a
Okay.
team leader. That's
Okay.
that's one point. There was also the other point where we said not to like. I'm not mentioning like the headlines. I'm mentioning things that I clearly remember. Like also the point where you said to watch out on the befriending. Like always befriend, but do not befriend in a wrong way where you.
Yeah,
So
that
we'll
was
talk
a
about,
question
like,
you
the
asked, I
venting.
think, which is
Yeah, the
being
venting.
over friendly and being friendly and when to be friendly and when to be strict and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about this as well. That's a very good point. What else?
Venting out.
Yes,
being like-
avoiding mistakes, which is talking in a bad way about one of your team members to another team member, because that will destroy the trust. Good
And also,
point.
also when becoming a manager, especially in the first month, you have to treat everybody with their own perspective and with their own mentality, because
Yeah.
not all of us are the same.
Exactly. Don't try to create clones of yourself,
Exactly,
because
yeah.
that's not
Because
going to
it's not
happen.
gonna work.
And
It's not the best strategy.
exactly. Correct. Also, do you remember something?
The first one.
You didn't? Azima, you didn't?
Yes, I didn't.
Hamada, do you remember something?
That in the first 30 days we avoid doing competitions or
Yes.
ifs in order to let the team bond with
If
each
you will
other
do
before.
competitions, do it as something for the whole team. Like give the whole team a number to achieve and then incentivize everyone.
That would be better.
That would be better. Don't split them and don't make it too personal, things like that, because the team is not yet mature enough to have a healthy competition and without destroying the team spirit. So don't do it too early, in other words. Good. What else?
Outings.
Okay, yeah, having some team to bond with the team, definitely, as I was saying, have some time out together, get to know each other, get to know your personal differences, your background.
To learn, like to be open to learning and to look for a mentor.
Exactly, look for a mentor to help you during the first 30 days and even later on. You should have a mentor, either one of your elder colleagues or maybe one of the mentors available on Concentrix University, or if you're not in Concentrix, you can search for someone on LinkedIn who's willing to mentor people.
And also,
That's good.
you need to talk to every one of them to know their goal. Like
Yes,
personal
goal setting, that's a very important point. The goal setting part is really important, so you can have a team who's self-motivated for a long duration, not for a very short term. Good point, Omar. I see that the memories are starting to refresh, and people are starting to forget. Omar, do you remember something different? Not yet. Safari, do you remember something different than what they said?
Information. Information.
The team formation. Okay.
Yes, that information.
Okay, the stages of the team building. Okay, sounds good. All right, and so today I will actually talk about multiple points. Okay, regarding still first 30 days and the next 30 days. Okay, if you ever have the luxury to interview your own team while you are actually hiring them, this is a very crucial step. Okay? You're not gonna always have this luxury to choose your own team and interview them while you're forming the team. But if you have it, that's really important step. Okay? First thing first, you need to understand how to read a CV. Okay? Reading a CV is really important step from the very first. However, it's not the most important. Like, don't just judge the book by its cover, but try to get an idea and try to avoid wasting your time. How? So basically, if you start with the right foundation, that's gonna make your life much easier in the future. Okay? If you choose properly in the beginning, and you, as much as you try, you will not always choose right. No matter how impressive the CV was or impressive the interview was, there is always a room that you have hired the wrong person. Okay? It's not just from skill set, it can be from mindset, from personality and things like that, and not everything you can test during the interview. However, what you do is try to reduce errors and try to select the best candidate possible. And unfortunately, as a leader, you will not have a big time capacity to interview each and every person who applied. Okay? Sometimes you might receive like 50, 60 CV. So you can't interview all the CVs, of course. You have to try to minimize as much as possible and filter based on some criteria. Okay? So how can I filter first of all? First of all, what you need to understand is calculating the odds. What's the odds that this CV is going to be suited? Okay? How come? First, you need to ensure alignment with the rule. So don't be too strict for a rule that doesn't need high level, or it's an entry level rule, in other words. And don't be too lean also on the CVs for a rule that's really requires a very specific skill set and experience. Okay? So how come? Okay? So first, when you read the CV, actually, and I will tell you when I read the CV, the last thing I check is the education. The last, or sometimes I don't even check it out. Okay? If I'm hiring for a role that needs someone with experience, all what I will care about is experience. Okay? So once you open the CV, you're looking with eyes, check the latest experience for how long, and what is the previous experience and the previous one and so on, and try to read the whole experience. Even if there is some stuff that's irrelevant to the role. Like someone used to work, for example, in a retail shop. Okay? Is that relevant or not? Depending. So if he was a sales in the retail shop, this experience is valuable. Even if he's gonna sell over the phone, this still gives him an experience. Okay? If someone used to work in public relations, is that related to sales? Yes, because he used to deal with people and he knows how to make connections and how to so on.
Because part of it is establishing a relationship
Exactly.
with
So
any business.
look in the CV for stuff that's relevant to what you do, and just don't care about titles only. And also don't get deceived by the titles. What's the meaning of don't get deceived by the titles? Sometimes you will see a very thick title. You know, channel sales, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Okay? And partnerships and so on and so forth. And maybe they put a manager there. And when you check the actual job responsibilities, you will find that it was a frontliner role or maybe data entry. Okay? Just be careful not to be deceived by the titles and try to understand what's behind it and what was the actual responsibilities done by this person. Okay? And also try to understand the flow of the CV. Okay? Be careful with CVs which is 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Okay? I don't want to prejudge, but it's still a red flag that you need to be careful with. If someone is spending 3 months in each place, it's not the best thing that you should have in your team, because that is a very high risk of attrition. Okay?
There is no commitment.
I don't want to say 100% there is no commitment. There might have some circumstances, but still it's a red flag. You know, like, don't assume, but still it's not the best CV that you should go with. Even if it's all sales, okay? Still, it's still a red flag that you should be careful of. Also, CVs for people who spend long durations in a specific place, okay? Then started over in another place with the same title after a very long time, and also another 2-3 years, same title, another 2-3 years, same title. Okay, that's a very thick experience with the same role, with the same everything. But that still also raises a concern. You know what it is? Say it now.
Like their problem, the learning curve is learning nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When this person is not looking for improvement.
It's not progressive or have a skill issue.
Okay. What else?
Maybe he basically is like in his, this is like his comfort zone or something, so he doesn't have the ambition to go forward. He doesn't have like what it takes to improve and develop a team. So if we're building a team, like I believe looking for like team members who are willing to go further above and beyond would be a good thing. Not someone who is basically set where he is. He is not thinking in the future, or is not considering his like next 2, 3, or 4 steps ahead.
Okay.
So not looking to get like a higher position. Say if he's like a mentor, he's not looking to be like a manager. Like manager,
Okay.
he's looking to be like a mentor.
That's one of the points, and the other point is the comfort zone. That's not a bad thing. Again, not everybody is supposed to be a leader at some point. Maybe he doesn't have what it takes to be a leader, or he might not be even aspiring to be a leader. He's just he likes to be in the front line, and that's what his comfort zone. But be careful in his interview. Try to understand the mindset. So if you decide to do an interview for this CV, try to test the mindset and understand, is he someone who is a blamer for other things? He's always blaming someone else for him not achieving? Okay? Is he someone who's pointing his finger always away from him? So ask questions that makes him justify, and if he starts blaming, yeah, this company was bad, my manager was this, and my manager was this, and in this one also my manager was this, and so on, and he's not actually pointing any responsibility towards himself, that's another red flag. Okay? Because that means he doesn't like to take responsibility, he's always blaming other things for his actions. Okay? So that's going to be very difficult to handle, because he's always going to find an excuse for him not achieving. Find an excuse for not growing. Okay? He's not thinking, how can I be better? How can I do it? Okay? When somebody asks me, why did you stay 3 years on the phone? Myself here, and I didn't get promoted, I tell them I was doing something wrong. Okay? I don't say the management didn't promote me or anything like that. No. I said I did something wrong. I was having a wrong mindset. That's what I say when anyone asks me about the early career. I tell them, to be honest, it's me. Okay? I didn't have the right mindset, and I was not doing the right actions to be promoted. Was I a top performer? Yes, I was. But that's not enough. Okay? So, if you see someone who's taking responsibility for his mistakes, this person is really good asset. Why? Because he's gonna grow. He's going to learn. Okay? But if he's a blamer, try not to have blamers on your team as much as possible. Okay? So that's another point also that you should consider for stagnant things like that. Other things as well in the CV is, and this is maybe a tricky one, is the ones which is, if you're hiring an undergrad, look at the durations he's staying in the companies. If it's from June to December, so this is a summer vacation guy. You have to be aware of this. Okay? he just spend the summer vacation, and then before the exams, he's just gonna resign and leave. If that's something you're okay with, you're fine. You don't have a problem with that. And by the way, some accounts and some businesses, you will be in a situation that you will accept this profile, and you only need him for this 6 months. Okay, so sometimes you need it. And I worked in accounts that has the same thing, which is they have actually seasonal needs. So for these seasonal needs, we get people who are here for seasonal time, not to grow. Okay, so just assess based on your needs and what is your aspirations. Okay, if you are building an account, try to avoid this. If you're building an account and you need people who are coming to stay and grow and be the ramp and then become your top achievers, then this is not the best. If you work in a seasonal account that actually you are expecting that the account will ask for another ramp down in 3 or 4 months, then this is fine, to have. So everything needs strategic thinking when you're thinking about who should I select and why and when and for which business use. Okay? So this is during the CV screening. So after the CV screening, during the interview, and the interview is a very critical step. Sometimes a lot of people say about my interviews, it's a little bit tough. I don't see that. I just see it as a way to measure, basically. Some of you did interviews with me. So the reason I try to make the interview as tough as possible is not to give the person a hard time. The interview is a filtration process. Okay? If the filter lets everything pass, okay? Is that a filter? Exactly. So the filter should be tight to clean, right?
Right.
So you try as much as possible in the interview to make it as difficult as possible. Why? Because you need to filter the skill sets that you really need and the mindsets and the personality and the way of thinking and the way of answering that will be good for a sales role. Listen, I have a saying that I always say, if a salesperson is not good in interviews, that's a very big red flag as a salesperson, because he doesn't know how to sell himself. Okay? I will be very honest here. So if you can't sell yourself, which you know yourself very well, and you have been living with yourself for all your life, and you can't sell yourself, then how are you expecting to sell something that you might not even use or see in real life or have the money to buy it? Okay? So it's a very big red flag if the person can't sell himself. Some people will say it's because of stress of the interview, it's because of he's being nervous in the interview and things like that. Again, salesperson quality is not to be nervous when he's taking a hard conversation in a hard situation. You should be resourceful. You should be actually someone who is like this. You can't put him in a corner. He's always going to find a way out. And now again, guys, when I'm saying that, I'm saying this is the ideal scenario. It doesn't mean that this is going to be, you will have the luxury to do this every time, to select the best candidate or the ideal candidate in your mind. There is no ideal candidate. People are different. But what I'm saying is, as a leader, you also need to prioritize based on your deadline. How much time do I have? What's the deadline? What's the go live date? And so on. And start ranking your candidates to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. When you finish tier 1 and you don't have enough time, you can start taking from tier 2 and so on to fill your class, because also you can't fail to deliver. And you can't go with the perfect patch. Okay? You try as much as possible to make it in the best format possible, in the best shape, but don't expect it to be perfect and to be all matching your expectations. Alright? Because you are not always going to have the luxury of time to do this. Because to select the absolute best, you're going to interview for the whole year. Just to be on the same page until you find what's exactly in your mind. So this is not going to happen. Just you are going to start ranking your pipeline. All right. So this is another point, and another thing also during the interview is in a sales interview, and that's my perspective. In a sales interview, a role play is a must. A role play is a must. People can actually expect the interview questions. No matter how you are creative in your interviews, some people study well for the interview. They go to YouTube and watch interview questions, they ask their colleagues, and they go ask other managers and so on, so they can be prepared for the interview questions. Okay? That's good. An interview questions is good for minimum competencies needed. Okay? The minimum competencies needed. But if you are leading a sales team and this person is going to be a salesperson, a role play is a must. Why? Because a role play is a role play. It's going to expose the person if he can sell or can't sell. Basically. Some people will tell you, I don't like doing role plays. Okay? Up to you. And it's up to you also to accept this or not. If you like the candidate and you think he's going to be a good fit, but maybe he has a problem with role plays. But it's a big risk that you take, that you hire someone without testing his actual sales skills. Okay, so how can I design a good role play? Based on what you are selling, if you are selling B2C or selling B2B, try to make it same format. Okay? So if it's a B2B call, try to make it that it has a gatekeeper and then a decision maker, because that's what's going to happen in reality. Okay? If it's a B2C, then make it a B2C. Don't make it complicated. All right? However, don't use your actual product for the role play. Why? Because if the person did a good homework, he might know someone inside the account and he actually practiced the role play with them. So that's going to make it a little bit easier. And create a product inside the interview, any product, okay, and make it as much unexpected as possible. So why is that moment? Because if someone is trying to sell something he has no idea about, and this is the first time he's going to sell it, it's going to be still, he's not going to sell it properly. You're not measuring his knowledge. You're not actually measuring his technical understanding or his knowledge. You're measuring his technique. Does he know the actual right way to sell? Which is starting with this in the beginning of the call, as a call structure, as a strategic thinking. That's what you are actually measuring during the role play. No matter how he say wrong stuff about the product, that doesn't matter. Okay? We're just measuring two things: his strategic thinking, his awareness about the right structure of a sales call, okay? And also, you are measuring his creativity. How creative he will be while he is actually selling something for the first time. All right? And you can give them the liberty to be creative in the product and how the product will help the customer and things like that. It's fine. You can be creative in this part. Give him these. And give clear instructions about it. So don't leave it completely vague. So don't make it sound like, don't make him, sometimes I will tell you what some of the rules I set. Some of the rules I set, there is no free stuff. There is no throwing in of free stuff. Because some people, in order to escape the hard conversation about pricing, or it's expensive or not, they're just gonna throw it for free. Okay, you can try it for free trial, and then if you like, this is not a sale. Selling a freebie is not a sale. Okay, it's an easy giveaway. It's a charity, basically. So nobody will say no to a free thing. Okay, so try to set rules that you can't give free stuff. You can't give him a sample for free and he try it and he like it, he can buy. No, you have to sell for money. Okay. And you have to close the deal in this call. Okay? So try to make the role play as much as possible, as difficult as possible. And I'm telling you that most of my interviews that I did a very hard one in the role play and people passed it and they were really good at tier 1, these people on the phone was monsters. Because he sold something without even knowing about it. He sold it properly. Imagine when you give him training and coaching and so on and so forth for the product and for the industry, and he has the awareness. He's gonna be a monster. Okay? Or she, well, just say pitch he or she. Just so role plays in the interviews is really important, and don't skip it. And I'll tell you something. Sometimes if you are short in time, start the interview by introduce yourself and then do the role play. If he's good in the role play, then continue to the competency questions. If the person did miserable in the role play, it's not even an average, then no need to waste your time. Just wrap it. Because your time as a leader is always tight. You have infinite tasks.
There's like some people, they are just like shy or something, like fearing doing role play for getting the job.
I understand.
But they are on the line. They are.
I understand that I mentioned this. I mentioned that some people might be nervous, some people are not good. You can accept it on your responsibility, but you're taking a big risk. I'm not saying this is 100% a Bible. Everyone is free to do whatever he wants. However, remember, during an interview, you are trying to filter as much as possible. So why am I going to take a risk with someone who's shy to work in sales? Okay? Is that a good feature that I'm looking for? Is someone who's shy? No.
I think
Right?
I think he's trying to say that they could be anxious, they could be
Understood?
nervous.
And that's why I'm saying, these people are not auto-reject. I'm saying if they did an average in the thing and you know that they will do well and they have a good understanding, it's up to you. You can put it as tier 2, for example, in your pipeline. And you can be free to accept it. However, if you found someone who's doing great in both, so which one am I gonna choose? The one who's shy, or the one who did great in the role play and the one who did great also on the question? Right? It's a whole selection process. So you check your available candidates, and then based on who did the best, you choose. Okay? But I'm telling you what I do. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. This is mine. Okay, this is my style.
It's like it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Personal decision.
Everybody has his own perspective.
It varies on the project as well.
And I will tell you something, guys. What you are doing here, in case that you actually in a situation that you can't afford someone to come and learn, because sometimes you need someone to come and plug and play. Okay? In some situations, for example, your account is struggling with performance and you need someone who's gonna come and can't take enough time for ramping. He needs to be fast ramping. Will you hire someone who you can take risk? So again, you need to be strategic about your selection. If you're launching a team and maybe you have the luxury of time of ramping and learning and things like that, you can actually take someone who have no idea but he's a good learner. Okay? He's willing to learn. And don't get me wrong, some people who are first time to touch the phone were excellent salespeople after this. I'm just talking about the scenario that you are hiring someone who's plug and play. You need to hire someone who's experienced and he's done this before and he's plug and play. Then try to minimize the risk. If you have the luxury of time and learning, do it. Take risks. No problem. But still, in the interviews, if you found someone who's like 100% ready and someone who's 60% ready, why would you take 60%? Doesn't make sense, right? But if what you got is the 60%, what will you do? You will have to accept, right? So just be realistic with your resources that you have at the time you have. However, if you have the luxury of high selection, I'm just giving you an idea how I do it. Okay? And try as much as possible in the interview to ask questions to understand certain competencies. For example, try to test assumptions. Does this person build assumptions very quickly and unhealthy assumptions? Okay?
Okay, can you test that? How can you test that during an interview?
Can you
Like,
give
give
an
us
example?
an example.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
give you an example. Okay. I will expose to you one of my questions that I asked in the interviews, which is I ask tricky questions. Okay? For example, I tell the person, you know, a lot of people when they work in sales for a long time, they build the sense of the buyer. Okay? Maybe some of you actually went through this question.
Yeah, I did.
If the answer is yes, there is a sense of a buyer and I can sense the buyer from the first 5 seconds of the call, this guy is full of assumptions. Okay? So he likes to assume. This is very critical. And I don't accept after this part. Also ask the person some questions that's missing something. Okay? So, for example, ask him about a scenario and don't give him the complete scenario. And see, will he ask for the missing info or he will just assume? Okay? That's another way to measure assumptions. Okay? Also, maybe you can ask him about something that he don't know. Something very, 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 very hard to know in real life. For example, ask him about something very sophisticated in the business.
Can it like be something in sales and like
So,
the sales itself?
For example, ask him
Yes.
like
Like a
if you want to ask him
technique.
for something, you can ask him something very specific and technical inside your
Between the
account,
lines.
which is someone external would not know. Okay? And ask this question. And if he said, I don't know, he passed. Okay? Because it's natural that he doesn't know. And he's fine to say, I don't know. Okay? If he told you, it's the blah, 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 and he started, like flowing completely incorrectly, okay? Based on assumptions, then that's not a good thing. A salesperson is not supposed to always say that I know. No, try to minimize as much as possible that you don't know something about your problem, okay? Because you're supposed to be aware about it. But even if you don't, you shouldn't say something that's invalid. You can either check with the resource that you have, what about this information, all right? Or keep them on hold or whatever, or tell them I will get back to you on this question, it's a very good question, whatever, all right? Or you can tell them, I think I remember the answer, but I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to give you something that's 50-50, so let me double check for you, for example. All right? If you don't want to sound like you don't know. But don't give an answer to something that you 100% have no idea about. Right? Because that's not healthy. Right? You can say, I don't know. So this is also something that you can build like an idea about the person you're talking to. All right? Another thing I do also in my interviews is, and this is, I don't say it's healthy or not, or good or not, just to be on the same page, I just do it, all right? Which is I try to trigger his anger.
Unhealthy.
So why am I doing this? Because this job requires high stamina, high mental stamina. This is the requirement of the job. As a sales job, you will face a lot of rejections. A lot of rejections. Okay? How about if you can't handle any rejections? Like if I tell you something, but I don't make it an assumption, like sometimes, and I will be very, very bad in this. So sometimes when an interview is about to be over, I ask this question, and I tell the candidate, if I told you now that I don't think you're a good salesperson, and you're not fit for this role, how would you react to this? If he reacted with a lot of ego and said, no, I know my worth and I know that I'm great and I know that, okay, good. Then you're not looking for feedback. If he actually starts saying, actually, I will respect your perspective. I'm confident about my skills, but nobody's perfect. Of course, I have things that I need to improve on. So can I ask you, what can I improve? He passed this question. Okay, because he's willing to learn. He's willing to be better. If he thinks that he's the best, and that's it, there is no room for learning, it's a very dangerous thing to have this kind of. Because you always are looking for someone who's coachable, and who's willing to learn. Right? We spoke about this before. So this is something also that can give you an idea. And I'm saying these techniques are not the healthiest from mental perspective and things like that. I know that some people will disagree with me about these practices. But I do it. Because no matter, and by the way, not all the people who will tell you, yeah, I'm willing, you can tell me the feedback and I will work on it, that doesn't mean they are actually coachable. Sometimes they will just say that because they know that this is an interview.
It's
and
like
this is
an
the right thing
interview
to do.
statement. So
Exactly.
It had to be said.
But some actually people will come out and be defensive and they will go red and and they will be angry about this. Will lose it. Okay? And that can actually tell you right away that this person is not good at taking rejection. And taking rejection is one of our middle name, basically, taking rejections. And converting these rejections later on into more yeses. Okay, but salesperson, like even if he's selling B2C, the best conversion rates is like 50% or something. So you are still getting rejection 50% of the other times. That's if you are working in an inbound sales. You'll still get 50% rejection or more. Imagine if you are outbound.
Or upselling or cross-selling.
Imagine outbound for people who didn't hear about your name before. Like it's gonna be like conversion 1% from who you talk with, something like that. So it's really tough. Okay, so you need to get someone who's okay with rejection as much as possible. It's not okay that he doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he is willing to learn from rejection. That's the most important part about it. So I think we can talk about interviews for a very long time. Would you like to continue, guys, on the same topic, or would you like to move to another topic?
Say move today.
For now, we still have stuff that we can do in the interviews.
I think we'll move to
Another topic?
another
Yeah.
topic. Yes.
Okay, I don't want to bore you with talking about
But it was
topic
really,
long.
it was
very
really
useful.
interesting perspective into the actual interview. Because
Yeah, but interviews is really important.
yeah, like most of us are like actually working on like the preparation itself, but not like reading the whole picture. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I'm speaking actually for myself. I used to do that, so it's really good to hear some insights.
Sure.
Will we be in a need to get back to this point one more time?
I think we covered a lot of things about it. It's just I think I covered most of it. So it's okay if something arises down the road and someone have a question about interviews, we can answer it in time. Because for the sake of time, we have only 4 minutes left. So I wanna take your if there is another topic that you guys would like to jump to, we can do it. Or if you would like to ask a question, please go ahead with it. If not, I will go to the next one. Nothing, no questions? Okay. So, other than the interviews, okay, and then you covered the CVs, you covered the interviews, and we spoke last time about the first 30 days. If the people who didn't attend last time, you'll get the videos. I will actually just put it all in one chunk. I'll send it over to you. Let's talk about the first 30 days client communication. If you are handling a client directly, okay, and you don't have let's say you're an ASM by yourself, and you don't have an an SM, you're straight to the client. Okay, this really topic we will just start it now. And we will continue it in the next session next week. So clients are not all one category and one way to deal with all of them. Okay? But during the first 30 days for you with the client, there is multiple things that you need to take care of. First thing first, your first impression. That's really crucial. The first meeting for you with the client, you need to be very careful because you don't want to give the wrong impression. Okay? But don't be nervous. He's just a person. Okay? He's not gonna eat you. He's not gonna bite you. Just a person, just like you. But what I'm saying is you need to be careful for two things. First thing, you don't want to give an impression that you don't know what you're doing. Even if you're a new leader. Alright? You need to be prepared with a vision and an action plan for your first 30 days so you can actually talk about it. So the client can feel comfort that I'm dealing with someone who knows what he's doing. Okay? However, also be careful not to give an impression that you're too cocky or arrogant or that you think you know everything. Always when you are talking about things with the client, give a room for the client to give you insights and ask their feedback and tell them, okay, while we're doing this, your support is going to be very appreciated and your feedback about what we're doing is going to be highly appreciated and we are very agile to move and change these plans. So don't make it feel that you're rigid and that you're too cocky and you trust your way more than anything else. Give also the impression that yes, I'm confident, but also I'm coachable and I have ears. I listen and I adjust based on the feedback and concerns and so on. Okay? Because but however, don't make it feel that he's gonna be the one driving you. No. Alright? Have your plan, have your way, and share your insights. Okay? And there is no shame that you tell him, like, I actually saw my manager before doing this, and this was very successful, so I will try the same way. However, I will adjust it based on the account structure and type and so on. It gives them an impression that you are not starting from scratch. You have experience and you are learning and you have mentors and so on. Alright? But at the same time, don't make it feel like you're stuck, you're nervous, you don't know anything. No, just be confident. Alright? And also be cheerful and nice, but don't be jokey too much. Like in the first meeting, have a charisma. Okay? Have a good, strong charisma, but without also looking that you're not approachable. Keep a balance. Keep a balance between being nice and approachable and talkative, but not very jokey and too much of talkative that you will be translated that you're not a serious person. Okay? You need to give an impression that's in between, balanced. Experienced, but not too cocky. Nice and approachable and fun to be around, but at the same time not jokey or ridiculous. Keep this balance, alright?
I have a question.
Sure.
In a perspective, when you are a new leader and you are head to head with the client, so there is no middleman between you, and you are the one responsible for achieving the targets and for delivering all the reports. Do you treat this client like a manager or a customer?
It's a customer, sure. 100%. A client is a customer.
Yeah, it's like,
So you need to...
how would you treat them? Like a customer?
Like, the client is a partnership, basically. It's not a customer transactional. No, it's a client. So basically, he's a long-term client with you. So you need to satisfy the client. It's a must, definitely. Alright? But again, you're the expert. That's why he's outsourcing with you.
Oh.
Right? So you need to keep the balance between satisfying the client and giving the client what he needs, but at the same time, if you think that something is wrong or the client is giving wrong directives in some specific way, it's still his business. I mean, he has the right to override and give you the process to follow on, okay? But try to build a good relationship with the client to give him some thought leadership, which is that you are telling him, I understand your direction and I want to just, no worries, of course we can apply this, but however, I want to give you an insight that this is something I saw in the past, happened in this way, and it was not the best result, okay? But if you would like to take it, it's up to you, but again, like I'm just trying to get the best for the business. Make him feel that you are caring about he and his business as well. The clients, not all of the clients are looking for a yes man. Okay?
I'm so
But also, don't make it like a challenge. That it's either me or you. No, we're here to collaborate. It's a partnership.
a business partner.
Yes. So don't make it feel like it's a fight. Either you do what you want or I do what I want and we clash. No, you can't clash with that client. Put it this way. You try to find the middle ground. You try to compromise. Okay? And if the client is giving you a directive and you try to talk him out about it and you don't feel that it's good, it doesn't mean 100% that it's not going to work. It might work. Your perspective might be wrong and you have a better perspective. Okay? But if let's say you're sure that this is not going to work, and you spoke about it and still he wants to go with it, no problem. Give him the disclaimer that, hey, I don't believe this is going to work. However, let's do it and I'm all in and I will give you a daily update about what we're doing and so on and so forth, and let's see the results. Okay? However, it's going to be his responsibility if this went wrong.
Setting expectations.
Yeah, set expectations. It's proper expectations.
You still can add some points to it.
Yeah, that's why you need, I said, you can compromise and find the middle ground. If the client is not willing for a compromise and he just wants his way, then give the disclaimer that this is, I don't believe it's right, but it's up to you. It's your business. You want to run it this way, it's up to you. But I don't feel that this is going to be successful. However, let's try it and see. Okay? But set proper expectations that if this went wrong, he's taking part of the responsibility. But don't make it feel that you're throwing the whole responsibility on them, that you actually don't want to do it, so you are going to get the team not to do it. Okay? Or make it fail. No. You're going to do your best to make it work, but if it didn't, at least you set the right expectations from the beginning. But don't make the expectations feel like you are setting it for failure. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but the decision goes to you for the team. Like you are the one who handles the team, who handles the operation of taking decisions. So the client is not your manager. It's not someone who will tell you what to do, and you would follow.
The client set the process. Just to be on the same page. So the client usually sets the process, sets the guidelines about the product, about how to sell it, the disclaimers, the legal. Because again, the client is legally responsible for this sale. If it's done wrong, he's going to be the one which is his customers will be suing. So you have to understand that still the client needs to interfere in a lot of things, especially the legal part and the process and things like that. But the way you lead the team and motivate your team and the way you are enforcing your team to achieve the KPIs and things like that to satisfy the client, that's yours. Okay? Mark, you have a question?
If the clients ask you to do some tasks and you are sure 100% that's overall a wrong decisions or wrong tasks to be applied, and you know how it's going to be delivered to the team and it's all wrong, how can I deliver to the client that I'm going to apply it, but don't wait for results?
No, I'm not going to say don't wait for results, because you can't assume that it's not going to work. Okay? You know, and your experience says so. Explain this to the client, that your experience with the same task was negative in the past. However, I don't mind that we apply. Okay? If that's something unnegotiable. If it's negotiable or adjustable, okay, I can tell you we can adjust it in this manner, it's going to be better. We can do this, it's going to be better, and so on. If he's open for this. And most likely the clients are open, just to be on the same page. Most of the clients are open for adjustments in the plan. Some of them, they actually have it from higher up. So the one who's talking to you is not the one who took the decision. Just to be on the same page, because that sometimes happens with big corporates. You're serving a big client. Usually it's their C-level took the decision and your POC is delivering the information. He has no say in it. Okay?
And how can you lead the team even if you don't believe about the steps?
Right.
You know that it's wrong, so how can you lead a whole team to do a wrong thing or a wrong decision you're not even convinced about?
That's a really good question, and it's a tough situation. I'll tell you that. It's not the easiest one. But what you should do is, you should not transfer your mistrust to your team. Don't make the team feel that it's not trusted. That it's wrong. And that you know that it's wrong and you're asking them to do it just for the sake of it. No. In this case, even if you yourself are not convinced, you still need to try to deliver it to the team in a positive manner and make the team do it and do it properly. And when the results doesn't come, this is where you take the results and take the samples and take the recordings and tell the client we followed the directives, but still the results are bad. And that's what I was talking about. Then try to change it. But don't transfer the mistrust, don't transfer this negative feeling to your team. Ever. Okay?
Have you ever been in a clash with a client that you had to say no about something?
Not clash, I wouldn't call it a clash. But
you
it happened.
You had to say no.
Yeah.
How did you deal with
Multiple
it?
times.
How did you deal with it?
I dealt with it, I will tell you, I will be very honest. By the time I became a like a client-facing manager, I was already having very wide experience beforehand. Like a few years as a team leader and a few years as a client myself. Okay? Before I start handling clients. Right? So what I do is, during, and again, let's be clear on this. It's not what you say to the clients, how you say it. So just explain it in a way to the client that you are actually worrying about his business. You're not just saying a no because you don't want to do it yourself for a personal reason. You need to frame it in a way that you are worried about his losses. You understand where I'm coming from? You're worrying about applying something that will negatively impact the team, which will negatively impact his business. Okay? You need to come as an advisor, not as a fighter. You get where I'm coming from? And also, will help you in that, the persona that you created with this client along the way, how much he knows about you. Really, by the way, really important for your client to know your experience. A lot of managers do a mistake that they never talk about their experience to their clients. What they have done in the past before handling their business. Because a client, when he knows that you handled big logos before, and you did this, and you worked for that, and you worked for big names as well, he will trust your opinion somehow. He will start feeling weight of your opinion. Okay? Even if you were working for a big logo as an agent. Okay? But now you're handling his business, you can tell him, our program applied this technique before, and we saw it in real life, it didn't work. Okay? Even if you were not the leader at that time. You're sharing your experience. Clients value insights that's based on actual case studies that happened. Okay? And sometimes, for example, it might happen that a client would like to do something that they think it's positive, but you know for a fact your team, so it might give a negative impact. Explain the perspective. It's all about communication. It's not about like, and I know so much that people like the cinematic way of saying no. You know, what's the cinematic way? no, I'm not gonna do it. You can do whatever you want. This is not the right way to say no, actually. Not even in your life, in your normal life. Communicate. Explain your perspective. Persuade. That's really important. You need to persuade the person, convince him. And I'll tell you something very easy. If you deal with the client as one of the customers who are, let's say, senior citizens on a customer service call, and you are making him understand where you're coming from and explaining things in details and things like that, your client relationship will be nice. And also, make sure that he's getting a survey and he has to fill it with a green. If you put this perspective in your mind, you will have a good client relationship, because you're going to treat him as a customer and you need to make him satisfied and you need to make him understand. And sometimes something is against the policy. You need to deliver that. But you need to deliver it in a good way in order not to get a dissatisfied customer, right? It's the same thing. You need to convince the person. You need to explain it in a good way, an easy way, and so on. And I think all of you guys worked in customer service before, right? So this is not different a lot. Just treat it in the same way, but not in a, the policy says that. No, it's not like that. Just you need to convince the person in the way, and you need to persuade. And that's why I will give you another homework today, which is, this homework is in addition to the courses that we spoke about last time. However, this homework, I'm not going to ask about it next time. I'm going to ask about it end of month. Okay? Which is a book. It's called Persuasion, the Art of Getting What You Want. I spoke to you guys about it before. Please go and read it or listen to it. Okay? It's really, really important. Okay? This book is really, really valuable if you read it. It's called Persuasion, the Art of Getting What You Want by David Lachai. Okay? Good? Good. Alright. We're good for today. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Have yourself a beautiful day. I hope it was useful. Please try to prepare your questions next time. If you ever come across a question that you want to ask about, or a scenario or a situation that you want to know how will you deal or handle. Of course, all of you been through situations with your manager that maybe you didn't like how he dealt with you at that time and how he approached you. Think about, what if you were in this position? How would you have handled it? If you don't know, then come and ask me.